Hi, good evening. I'm live now. Those who are watching the recordings, please fast forward first 10 minutes. The actual session starts after that. Thank you. Hi, Raki. Good evening. Hi, Minu. Good evening. How is the audio today? Please confirm. Good, good. So today actually there is a good news. I am from my office and we could manage an optical fiber connection. This morning they have installed it and there is no further frustration of the internet connectivity, it seems. So it is OFC installed, optical fiber connection. Hi Prasida, good evening. So hopefully there will not be any problem of audio or connectivity issue from my end at least, and that will give the benefit of the recordings. Recordings will be perfect. Yeah, it will be better, Prasida. That's what I was sharing, that the optical fiber connection is installed in my office today, so I am from my office, not from the car anymore. Yeah, back to office. But definitely I'll be missing the sights of sun early in the morning tomorrow. Yeah. Hi SP, good evening. Yeah, Prasida, no more car rides. But who knows? Who knows? In future, maybe. Because that has given an insight of having a mobile class. And that's the power of technology. You know? So it's 6:01. We'll wait for another 4 minutes. So 6:05 we'll do the silence and we'll start today's session of reflection. Hi Vikrant, good evening. Hello Mr. Murthy, good evening. See, the screen sharing feature is very useful feature. That's why I don't want to compromise with the experience that we had yesterday, the last phase of experience of the voice problem. Because in this particular session of reflection, we need clarity of the fonts, which is better in the screen sharing. So let's have both the experiences. Hi Tulika, good evening. Hi Nandini, good evening. Thanks for joining the session. Namaste. Okay, Raki, no problem. Today, the reflection sessions are not longer, you know, within 60 minutes it will be over. So, yeah. Nandini, please refresh your browser. So it's 6:04. Yeah, Nandini. So you can refresh the browser once more. Like you go out of the class and come back, it corrects the experience. So I was talking about the screen sharing feature. Those who have joined second time this level 2 online, they can, like Nandini is one of the participants in the previous batch also. So last time we had this only screen sharing classes, so which was amazing. So I did not want to compromise after the yesterday's experience. So I'm sure today it will go extremely well. So you guys can keep on typing if you have any question or query which is quite related to today's session. So you can take that. But it's 6:05, so let's have the silence for 1.5 minutes and we'll resume and start the session. Good evening. So So I welcome all of you to this second session of reflection. And before starting the session, I must communicate that if there is any issues of connection, then we'll switch back to the iPad option also, because that system is also ready parallelly. So don't worry about any lack of connectivity or anything. And moreover, it will take just 5 minutes to switch back. So you'll find another session in the same group. That notification will come within 5 minutes if this session fails. Right. So let's start without wasting much time. Let's start today's session. So this is the assignment of day 2, which was yesterday. And the questions were given to you. Actually, these are the statements. The number 1 is share your understanding about occurrence of toxemia. And number 2 was correlate density, speed, and heat in terms of management of health and happiness. Yeah, welcome Vidyut to the session. Yeah, there is a question actually before starting. Let me see. Sir, if you could please elaborate on USA, unconditional self-acceptance. So, Raki, can we take it tomorrow? This question, because dialectical analysis, dialectical science will continue for tomorrow also. So we can take it up tomorrow, right? In the morning, we'll take this question. Definitely, the understanding of USA is very much important to go ahead with the rational analysis approach. Right. So let's go ahead with the first submission. Vidyut, share your understanding about occurrence of toxemia was the first question, and he answered the food which is not easily assimilated by the body is either stored as morbid matters or toxins. When not eliminated by the body, this particular condition causes occurrence of toxemia. Toxin comes from 2 ways: internal, by metabolism, fermentation of undigested food and negative thoughts; external, chemicals, pesticides, medicines, unidentifiable food are toxins. Our body is continuously working for the removal of toxins. Normal elimination are done through stool, urine, sweat, breath, mucus discharge, etc. But when body experiences overload of toxin, it tries to trigger some acute illness for special elimination. If such elimination process is suppressed by medicine, toxins start getting accumulated and thus creates a chronic toxic condition. As a result, toxin deposits in our bloodstream, lymphatic fluids, joints, and different parts of the body organs. Toxemia intensified due to innervation. When toxemia intensifies and the lifestyle is not reversed, innervation increases. So no question about this submission, very planned and specific writing. Thanks for this submission, Vidyut. The second question was correlate density, speed, and heat in terms of management of health and happiness. Toxemia first affect the blood and increases the density of blood. Increase in density, in turn, lessen the speed, and thus the toxin get accumulated in different parts of the body, causing discomfort to the particular organ where toxin gets accumulated. Also, more the toxemia, less the heat, that is vitality, and thus innervation increases. So he nicely correlated density, speed, and heat in a single paragraph. Now, as per the law of thermodynamics, energy is fixed. So is our vitality, vital energy, from birth till death. So here a small correction, not till death only, but also sorry. So, but also till the perishment of the body. So there should be a correction that from birth till the perishment of the body, right? And then, so we need to conserve energy for better health and happiness. First task to reduce the density is by right management of input factors. Also, management of speed and conservation of heat can be done by mindful action and conscious thought management. A well-managed vitality can achieve an effective metabolism and thereby attain the desired state of health and happiness. Nicely concluded. Thank you. Next is from SP, occurrence of toxemia. When we do not listen to the voice of the organism and do not follow the law of unity, and when our input is more than the output, toxins are generated in our body. Because of wrong lifestyle, when we get innervated and our body is not able to throw out the toxins through stool, urine, breath, and sweat, this condition is called toxemia. Well, definition. This leads to various diseases in our body. In case it affects our pancreas, it's called diabetes in medical terms. And if it affects our arteries, it's called blood pressure or a heart disease. In real sense, the cause of all the diseases is toxemia. Mainly, these toxins are accumulated in our body, which flows to each and every cell of our body, causing discomfort at various locations. Here, I'd like to bring your attention on one thing, so beautiful explanation of the same thing in a different approach, different use of the words. So this is a process that is pedagogically very effective, So the same concept is being touched upon through different perception and different explanation. And that actually helps the assimilation of the concept in a better way. So we must identify this particular pedagogical approach, and those who are teacher, they can actually implement these things in their teaching very dialectically, so that the learners get to expose to the concept repeatedly through various means without getting bored. Yeah, so coming to the second submission, so I really appreciate the way SP explains the things in a planned manner. Just so you all know, SP is a senior teacher with the art of living. So his art of living means it's a life teaching, it's not a subject teaching. So those reflections are there in his articulation. Thanks, SP, for contributing to this journey. So yeah, second question, density, speed, and heat in terms of management of health and happiness. Density is the input which is affected by 4 factors, that is RAW, radiation, air, water, and the solid food. Speed is the action which is affected by 3 factors, that is spine care, activities, and sleep and rest. Heat is the thought process affected by 1 factor, the traffic of thoughts. See the use of word, the traffic of thoughts. Toxemia is directly proportional to density, inversely proportional to speed, inversely proportional to heat. In case of toxemia, the density of the blood increases, speed of the blood decreases, and also the heat of the blood decreases. Therefore, we should consume more of less denser foods like fruits and vegetables, and less of high density food like root vegetables and seeds, and completely avoid processed foods. Should have good sleep and rest, take proper care of our spinal cord, and do proper exercises in our routine. Also meditate regularly to reduce the occurrence of unwanted thoughts. I don't have anything to comment on this, actually. This is an awesome reply, awesome explanation. Next is Tulika. I'm not sure if Tulika has joined. Tulika, are you there? If you can comment on the comment section. Right, so let's read on, because there's some correction actually in her response. So that's why if she is there, then it enhances her understanding. So the first question was answered. Toxemia occurs due to accumulation of waste in the body, which the body was unable to release due to the lack of vitality. Lack of vitality could be due to lack of rest and sleep and busy lifestyle. Body needs time, space, energy, and matter to excrete the toxins from the body. So this sentence is not clear. Body needs energy. That's good enough. Time, space, matters needs more explanation. Why you have included those three things here. Toxemia occurs with consistent way of lifestyle where the body was unable to complete the process of elimination. So here, due to the continuous innervation to be added, unless it is added, the complete framework of understanding is not expressed, So yeah, Tulika, so I hope you understood what things to be added in this response, or rather in this understanding. If you have understood the way you couldn't express, that's fine, but let's better our understanding in the process. Right. Now, in the relation of density, speed, and heat, she writes density is inversely proportional to the speed, which means higher the density, lesser the speed. This means with more density, our body feels heavier and may not give the feeling of wellness. So I object on this may, use of the may word. So it should be absolutely the body will have the feeling, will not be having the feeling of wellness for sure. There is no doubt about it, may or may not. Also, the body needs to produce more heat inside the body to work on the higher denser food. So this reflects that the body will consume more vitality to work on higher density, which will reduce the speed and the flow of blood, which are not conducive condition for experiencing health and happiness. So nicely concluded. Thank you. Prasida. Prasida, are you there? So whoever I'm actually reading the assignments, if they can respond to the chat, it will be appreciable, so that there is an interaction, and that enhances the understanding. Now, the first question, understanding of occurrence of toxemia. Among the three activities, input, processing, and output, it is the production of output is reduced due to various factors, then toxin gets accumulated in the body. Accumulation of toxin is the only disease known to human referred as toxemia. Nicely explained with a crisp definition. Various ways in which body blood filters the toxin, that is through lungs, kidney, skin, and intestine. So here I object. Intestine doesn't filter the blood. So remove this understanding, because in the mechanism, the structure, govern, function aspect, if we go deeper, intestine doesn't contribute in the filtration of blood. And with that understanding, we will be in a better position to deal with our constipation cases, because constipation is an effect. It's not the cause of bad health. We must understand. So all the trials of getting rid of the constipation through some external mechanical means are actually suppression, not the cure. So I'm talking about clearly, specifically the enema, tona, all these practices. So those are to be identified by as suppression. So people may opt those, but let's identify that as suppression. And it is always better to take tona comparing to the laxative. That's a chemical help for the getting rid of constipation. So that way tona is better, but tona is not the nature cure way. It is just conservation of the vitality, through which you will actually increase your vitality level, and the constipation will go away as byproduct for sure, because the body is not programmed to keep the toxins, keep the waste material inside. Right, let's go ahead. Body is able to release the toxin, but if it is in the innervated state, then it cannot work towards healing toxin removal. Innervation occurs when we increase the input and body has to divert its resources to digest the inputs, then it cannot towards clearing toxins. If the body is physically exhausted, then the vitality is reduced for a great extent, and vitality consumption for toxic removal is not considered. Nicely articulated, other than that intestine aspect. Yeah, so there is a comment from Prasida. Let's read that. Okay, I'm confused as in the class you mentioned stool as way of eliminating toxin from body. Yes, Prasida, I did say that, but the toxin, this is the external toxin which are getting eliminated. But in the case of toxemia, the blood is toxic and the blood gets to be filtered. And for filtration of the blood, there are only three tools equipped in the body, which are lungs, kidney, and skin. So structure governs function, we need to understand clearly. Right, thank you. Now the next response, correlate density, speed, and heat in terms of management of health and happiness. Blood in its pure form has a certain density. See the approach, see the scientific approach towards this response. So blood in its pure form has a certain density and it is pumped by heart at a particular rate. When toxins get accumulated in the blood becomes denser. The speed to pump denser blood is reduced. Heat generated naturally by the body naturally by the body is more than 98.6 degree Fahrenheit will make the blood less denser. The more the heat, less denser the blood, and the speed with which blood is pumped across the body will be optimal. Blood is the carrier of nutrients as well as toxin. It's good that it flows through the body to collect deposited toxin or provide nutrients broken by the intestine. Lesser denser blood indicates less toxic blood and hence a healthy body. That is a mechanism through which body releases toxin from the body. Right. So there is a clear understanding of this correlation, density, speed, and heat in Prasida's response. Thank you. Minu, occurrence of toxemia. Toxemia occurs when the uneliminated toxins get accumulated in the body and body is innervated when toxin elimination is affected and vitality is reduced. If we conserve our vitality at this stage through rest, then vitality is restored. But if vitality is not managed at this stage and suppressed the symptoms, Minu, are you there? And suppress the symptoms, then toxins keep accumulating, causing discomfort. This is toxemia. If further suppressed, it leads to a healing crisis when the body tries to throw out toxins through special means to maintain homeostasis. The density of blood increases. Nicely articulated, no question. Yeah, this is a mathematical response. I really appreciate the way you responded. So, but I would again, Minu, I would really appreciate if you use a darker pen, or when you click this, I understand that you are in a hotel and you don't have all the facilities like home. So if you just click this in an illuminated place, that gives a better impression, and this is little hazy, though we tried to enhance it, but it was not enhanced further. Yeah, right. So density, speed, and heat in terms of management of health and happiness. We are born with a vitality at the time of conception. conception, it aren't be created. Yeah, it aren't be created or destroyed. When uneliminated toxins get accumulated, the density of the blood increases. As we know, now she explains the equals to mc square, and she correlates the density and heat, density, heat, and speed in terms of energy, which is the formless entity. Then this is energy, formless entity, then radiation, air, water, and food. And she terms these 1, 2, 3, 4, and the density is increasing gradually, and the heat is decreasing gradually, and speed is also decreasing gradually. So this is a clear understanding of the density correlated with heat and speed. The factors for health are 8 factors. Input are 4 factors: RAW and food, action, activities, sleep and rest, and spinal balance, spinal care. And the heat is the thought, the single 8 factors. So mass directly proportional to the toxemia, which is directly proportional to the density, and inversely proportional to the speed and heat, as you mentioned here. So vitality is conserved when the thoughts are less, body is active, and input is favorable. So in a single sentence, how beautifully she explains that the vitality is conserved when the thoughts are less, body is active, and input is favorable. Vitality is fixed. So if we consume less vitality, so conserve vitality. So yeah. And I must say that as Minu commented, that we'll be careful next time regarding the legibility of the clicks of the photographs. So I appreciate today's submission. Beforehand, I'm saying this, and today it's a clearer photographs also, and the writings also. In particular, Minu's submission I'm talking about. Raki. As per Nature Cure, there is only one disease, toxemia, and only one cure, vitality management. Whenever we are not careful about management of vitality, toxins accumulate in our body due to faulty lifestyle and overwork on vitality. Body is not able to expel the toxins through the expelling agents, stool, urine, sweat, and breath. Clear. In a single sentence, okay, 2 sentences, but it's a clear-cut definition of toxin. Raki, are you there in the session? Yeah. So number 2, as per Nature Cure, there is only one issue, toxemia. Whenever our body experiences any discomfort, it is because of toxin in the body, which because of innervation of vitality, our body is not able to expel. Now to remove discomforts, or to maintain health and happiness, we need to understand how to conserve vitality. If density, speed, and heat are understood with relation to toxemia, we'll be able to manage our health better. We need to take care of 8 factors: 4 plus 3 plus 1, input, density, raw and solid food, action, speed, spinal care, activity, rest, sleep, thought, heat. Toxemia is inversely proportional to the density. So thought is heat, so that's a single entity. So toxemia is inversely proportional to the density. Toxemia is, oh, this is a wrong statement. I'm sure you'll realize that. So toxemia is directly proportional to density. If density higher, toxemia is higher, right? So this needs to be corrected, and other 2 things are inversely proportional. So speed and heat are inversely proportional. Remember soil theory, if the density of the input is more, it will take longer to disintegrate. It will take longer to disintegrate and integrate. I couldn't get the point of remember soil theory, which you have mentioned in the bracket. That needs to be explained. I couldn't find it. So integrate, hence more vitality is consumed. If we have toxins in the blood, the speed will slow down, movement and circulation will be affected, and vitality would be consumed more. If we have less thoughts, the heat will not be used up by the thoughts, and the heat will be available for the metabolic process, and the vitality will not be consumed more. Nicely concluded. Thank you. Next is Nandini. Yeah. So first question, daily living of body exposes it to various kind of environmental factors as well as internal processes. Humans have a special capacity to reason and think as well as have emotions. I really appreciate this sentence. Humans have a special capacity to reason and think as well as have emotions. So emotion in the logical approach or the rational approach or the dialectical approach, emotion is not neglected. This is a misconception if something is some understanding is there that dialectical approach means it is an emotionless approach. It is not so. Now, coming back to the response, the body tries to deal with its intake and produces waste materials, which are thrown out routinely and regularly by way of sweat, urine, stool, breathing. All these processes require an optimal level of vitality to go on and should not be suppressed. Thus, toxins are removed from the body in this manner and also by way of gaseous exchange in lungs. Blood is gaseous exchange in lungs. That actually needs little more clarification, because that gaseous exchange is the filtration process that we expel out of the lungs, filtration of the blood. So there is a structurally this function is there in our lungs. So that can be also included. Just a kind of comment on this. So blood is the nutrient carrier, taking nutrients to all the cells in this manner and taking away eliminated cellular waste away also. Now, if waste is not thrown out, it starts to circulate in the body, for which it opens special elimination routes like fever, loose motion, cold, etc. This is toxemia. So yeah, so this is actually healing crisis, which you have mentioned, but for the healing crisis, definitely toxemia is the reason. Are you there, Nandini, in the live session? Now, she continued, mental or psychological processes like stress, agony, create toxin in the body, giving rise to toxemia. So here a connection also could be established that the stress, agony will consume more vitality, and that consumption of extra vitality will innervate the body, and because of that innervation, the toxins will not be able to expel. So direct relation of the toxemia through innervation. Thoughts causes a loss of vitality in this manner. The body has to work harder to reach its homeostasis. Environmental factors like pollution and chemical use in food materials cause toxin accumulation in our body, for which it is recommended that we must grow our own chemical-free food to reduce the toxin load in our bodies. All kinds of medicine supplements are perceived as food, but since it is unnatural, it is thrown out of the body with difficulty. Hence, producing toxins as byproducts to life is an essential feature of life. However, living with good amount of RAW can keep them moving easily out of the system, so it does not reach higher levels to reach toxemia. So the easiest, simplest route she mentioned, and Being a natural farmer, she always recommends that we should grow our food, which is really appreciable. So number 2, vitality conservation is akin to law of conservation of energy in physics, that is E equals to mc square. So Nandini, this E equals to mc square is not considered as conservation of energy, law of conservation of energy. This is a relative relativity, theory of relativity actually. This is not the law of conservation. Law of conservation is the first law of thermodynamics, which says that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Right, so this understanding needs to be corrected. For vitality conservation, 3 factors are essential. Those are input, action, thoughts. We have understood that if there is good speed or circulation or exercise, then toxin removal is efficient. That is, toxemia is inversely proportional to speed. We also observe we are happier with exercise like dancing, playing sports, and also positive. Sleeping pattern improves considerably. Our spinal alignment also ensures that each organ is in its place. The input determines our density, which means if the blood is less dense, it can circulate better. For this, input food consumed should have RAW, that is radiation, air, and water. The heat factor implies that having fewer rational thoughts will reduce vitality, conserve the heat. Toxemia is inversely proportional to the speed, directly proportional to the density, and inversely proportional to heat. Health and feeling good about life is a state of being when one has minimal vitality spent. Having few thoughts, a feel-good factor, means a happy sense of life. To manage density, speed, and heat wisely means total health and happiness. Excellent, excellent response to both the questions. Despite there are a little bit of correction needed, but overall it's really great to have this response. Now coming to Vikrant's response, understanding on occurrence of toxemia. Unlike a machine, our body has to process the input RAW plus solid to keep homeostasis and throw out the input which is not required. The output, which is called as toxin, can be in the form of urine, stool, breath, and sweat. Suppose we do not listen to our voice of the organism and defy the law of unity, then it might lead to innervation. There is no might at all, Vikrant. So again, the same, Tulika also used that may I object. This is also might is not, there is no doubt about it. This can affect the above process of throwing out the toxins, which leads to accumulation of toxin in the body. This accumulation of toxin is called toxemia, which is the only disease as per nature cure. Right. Yeah, Vikrant, are you there in the live session? So number 2 is correlate density, speed, and heat in terms of management of health and happiness. We intake solid food which has some mass and is broken down by the process called as assimilation, leading to small particles which has some density. Parallelly, we intake water, air, radiation, which the density decreases respectively. So the particle with higher density have their own inertia, requiring more heat to achieve a motion. As life is a motion, the body is more healthy and mind is more happy if the particles are in motion. Some of the particles are thrown out as toxins, but to more the same, you need less dense particles which move around the body through blood. solve their purpose and move out. This will lead to a healthy and happy body. So here you explained about the input, but I expect that action and thoughts also are to be included in terms of the speed and heat, which will enhance your understanding further, right? So yeah, there is no response from Shiva, there is no response from Dr. Kaur, and there is no response from Mr. Murthy. So that actually concludes the reflection part. If you have any pressing question, you can ask. I'll wait for another 2 minutes, and then we'll proceed for the silence and conclude the session. Yeah, Meenu. You said I'm eager, sir. Eager for what? Yeah, Mr. Murthy asked that proteins will cause toxin. So this protein is not understandable actually as far as nature cure is concerned. You know, because the protein is a part of the whole, which is not really identifiable by the body separately. So if you are talking about the concentrated food, then protein, as it is understood, that protein is a complex concentrated food. So popularly the nuts are claimed to be proteins, and those are to be consumed in less quantity. If we take more of those concentrated food, definitely it is a toll on our vitality, and that toll will lead to innervation, and that innervation will lead to toxemia. So definitely there is a connection of having more concentrated food and the occurrence of toxemia. Yeah, eating more definitely innervates us, takes a lot of vitality, and the connection is any activity which affects our vitality consumption will lead to innervation, and that innervation will lead to toxemia. So eating more will not directly coming to the toxemia. It is the through proper channel. Actually, we need to repeatedly remind ourselves about this channel. Okay, so Meenu, unconditional self-acceptance, we will discuss tomorrow in details, but yeah, definitely it's an important aspect. So right, guys, I don't see any further question coming in. So let's do the silence of 1.5 minutes and we'll conclude the session. I'll have an ambient sound during this, because there are some external noise which are coming, which may affect the concentration. So this sound will will help you to concentrate. Yes, guys. Well, I see another question from Vikrant. How come mass is inversely proportional to heat? So this is simple. The states of the matters actually are solid, liquid, and gaseous, as we know. Now, if you apply heat, keeping the volume constant, then you'll find the density is reducing. And when the density reduces, then the mass also reduces if you keep the volume constant. So you need to understand the relation between density, mass, and volume. If the volume is constant, then application of heat will be reducing the mass. Right, another question from Vidyut. Yesterday's evening you want to discuss something but unable due to net error. Which might have discussed otherwise, because the net error came at the finishing time actually. So I don't remember. If you recollect any clues, you can put a light on that. So we'll continue in any way on WhatsApp, on Facebook group, or otherwise we have a lot of times coming days. Right? Tomorrow is another important day on dialectical science. So we'll see you at 6 sharp, and be ready for a longer session like today's. So definitely it will not be finishing in 60 minutes for sure. Right. Yeah. Thanks for attending, guys, and we'll sign off today. We'll call it a day, and thanks for attending the session. So bye-bye. Good night.